tonight on the show, something that's unlikely to ever happen to the Queen, just quietly, wheel clamping. The life of a monarch is such that she's unlikely ever to pop into the Eastgate shopping mall in Christchurch, whack the wagon into a P10, come back somewhat longer than 10 minutes later and find the damn thing wheel clamped on Saturday afternoon. That's exactly what happened to Christchurch man Scott Weir. And Scott Weir did what many people who've been wheel clamped have dreamt of doing, but far fewer have gone ahead and done.
This is Scott Weir going to extreme lengths to remove a wheel clamp bolted to his truck. As you can see, he is using a gas-cutting torch close to the front tyre. Where did he get it from? Well, he just happens to be a welder, and he just happened to pull it out of the back of his truck. Scott claims he only parked for 15 minutes in a P10 car park at Eastgate shopping mall in Christchurch and went to the bank. When he returned, he found his wheel clamped. After just 30 seconds, the wheel clamp is gone, completely destroyed. All that's left is a dying flame, and Scott returns the gas hose and equipment to the back of the truck. For Scott Weir, the whole incident has left a bitter taste in his mouth.
They falsified times on the clamp. They refused to remove it. I'd spoken with them 2 or 3 times. They had said that they were going to remove it and then decided no, they didn't want to, so it got cut off. This is for anyone else who wants to see it. Thank you.
Hamish Clark reporting. Joining us now live from Christchurch, Scott Weir, who got clamped, and here in the Auckland studio, Gordon Ward, whose company, New Zealand Wheel Clamping, did the clamping. Thanks for joining us, both of you. Scott, have you heard from anybody? Have the police or anybody given you a call down there in Christchurch to ask you, you know, come on, that's not good enough?
No, they haven't, John.
And has the wheel clamping company contacted you to say you owe us money for the clamp?
No, they haven't.
So at this stage, you're thinking you may have gotten away with it, or are you expecting a visit from somebody reasonably soon?
I'm expecting a visit. I gave police details and told them of my intentions before I did it.
And what did they say when you told them you were going to do that?
They said technically it wasn't a police matter until I'd actually cut it off, and then it was willful damage.
OK. Gordon in Auckland here, what are you going to do about this?
Well, firstly, we'll get in touch with Scott, which we do an MR31 on his car, which we've done, and then what we do is we'll send him out a bill for the amount, and we'll decide after that whether we press criminal charges.
OK, I want to go through the details here. Scott, can you tell me in Christchurch, how long do you think you were away from that P10 for?
About 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes.
OK. Now, Gordon, you have paperwork here that suggests it was 31 minutes.
That's correct.
How accurate do you regard that assessment by your man on the spot?
Generally, it's very accurate. What happens is the gentleman calls through his chalk times, or his times that he's monitored a vehicle. He has to call it through to our call centre at the time that it's signed for. So, like, it was at 12:20. It was considered the second pink. And then Scott Weir
12:51, I think.
Rang us at 12:50. Well, he actually rang us at, I think, a little later than 12:51, and we had the thing removed.
OK, Scott, how confident? I mean, this is a clear point of difference here, isn't it? You're saying 15 minutes. These guys are saying 30, 31 minutes. How confident are you? Do you have any evidence, for example, FPOS transactions, any security camera footage from the car park that suggests you were away a very short time?
OK, no, there are not any security cameras in the car park. I've spoken to Westpac and they are trying to forward on security footage to me.
How much leeway do you allow, Gordon, given that if Scott's right and it was only 15 minutes, it's cost $95 and he's got a wheel clamp on his car? That seems fairly officious to me.
Well, if Scott was right and it was 15 minutes and it's on that particular site, Scott would then write to us. If he'd paid the amount, he would have written to us complaining that it was under 15 minutes. Then we would have done our research to try and find out exactly what time it was clamped and unclamped and all the monitoring and that. If it was found that he was correct, he would have been refunded the full amount.
OK, so had it only been 15 minutes, we would have been refunded the full amount
on that particular site, because you've got to understand, John, that each site owner has their own set of rules. Now, we as a clamping company, monitor the site for the site owner at their discretion. So therefore, they choose whether there's an easement, such as on the P10, or whether they have no easement at all. Because basically, the signage is 10 minutes, and that's and that theoretically, we could, after 11 minutes, we could have a clamp on.
Scott, in hindsight, would it have been better to just pay the $95, write to these guys and say, hey, you were completely over the top, I was only gone 5 minutes than the 10 minutes I was allowed, give me my money back? Would that have been better in hindsight?
No, it was the point of the matter. I watched them for the hour that I was waiting for the police, and as soon as they were taking the clamp off one car after a payment, they were clamping another car and expecting another $95 from each car thereafter.
Gordon, you guys do seem to have a bit of a track record here. I quote from a Fair Go program. We filmed the clampers waiting just 36 seconds before getting out of their car to clamp a driver who very briefly left the car park. Now, this is how you make your money. $95 a pop for clamping people. Are you too quick off the mark?
No.
There seems to be suggestions that you have been in the past. Scott seems to be suggesting that you are here.
Scott's allowed his opinion, however, the evidence doesn't stack up with Scott. As far as the Fair Go item is concerned, as I said to you before, each site owner has their own system in place.
36 seconds?
Well, some site owners have a zero tolerance for anybody parking in their car park who isn't shopping in their site. So that one's a totally different issue. Scott was actually a customer of the Eastgate, I believe, Scott, but I believe he was a customer there.
Yeah.
However, the rules at Eastgate are that they're only allowed a certain amount of time in short-term parks to free them up for other people. And if they go over that period of time, then we're enforced to clamp them.
Great, Gordon Wood. Thank you, Scott. Just before we go, very quickly, if you get a bill from these guys, are you going to pay it?
No.
Let us know what you think. Was Scott right? Viewers, do contact us and email us. And Gordon Wood from New Zealand Wheel Clamping, thank you very much. Scott Weir, Wheel Clampee down in Christchurch. Nice to have you on the show, guys.